Hello. Bit late posting this, or making it, been so busy, and apologies for any posts on the previous video I've not been able to answer. It's just been absolutely hectic, but not on the allotment. Early August, as I've mentioned, the peak's passed, things are beginning to settle, and to be honest, gaps are starting to appear, and this year I haven't been quite as keen or had time to fill in every single gap up to September. Grapes are doing really well. I think this is Brant. I think. We'll see. I think I might have a decent crop this year to the point of considering making wine. We'll see. And a kiwi. So yeah, I'm probably looking at thinking of if I'm going to do anything over winter in the greenhouse, beginning to think over the next 4 to 5 weeks whether I have to germinate anything for when the spaces become available in the greenhouses. Looking at the greenhouse tomatoes, probably another 6 weeks, just beginning to start now. Top fruit this year has been fine. Very little was seemingly damaged by frost. The only losers seem to be, I don't know if you can see, it's a bit dark, are the plums. And if I can move in, can never get rid of this fungus. I take the old fruit off, I spray with antifungals, I suppose, in the winter, and I just cannot get rid of that. Any suggestions would be most welcome, because I'm at the point of thinking my plums need a haircut. It's been very dry, so I've missed a few things. Bolting's been the big problem. I've avoided the big temptation of watering on the open, basically because it's so compulsive. Once you start, you can't stop, and you think, oh, there's a dry spot, I'll have to water and get the hose pipe out. So I'm not getting everything. Big old bolted little gem. My red peas, funny name one, staying on there, maturing, and it'll be next year's seed. You walk around now, especially now, and you think about what you can do over winter, what needs changing, what needs improving. Certainly my flower border, I think some of these clumps of phlox, the goldenrod there, a red one, but it's died off now, beginning with C, Camula, I can never remember it anyway. They all need splitting and dividing. And I think it moves back, and the hedge at the back is going to have a big haircut. That's going to be my theme of the year, or of the autumn. It's good being sheltered, it stops you from the wind, the elements, you can get things set off earlier, but there are some restrictions, and light's becoming one of them. Dahlias, you can tell it was a mild winter. They lasted all through without any extra mulch. I reduced my baskets this year purposely. I didn't want to have endless watering, or the weather meant I was pretty much down here endlessly watering, and a few times they did end up getting pretty dried out, but they are getting a bit straggly now, but they seem to have survived. If anyone can tell me what this is, I grew it from seed, and I'm sure I have a packet somewhere, although if I use them all I don't. And I didn't make a list this year. That's what it looks like in full. I just don't know the name of that flower. And here's my peach. What's the betting a bird gets that before me? So we had a look up there. I am, though, concentrating on something. I did all my onions yesterday, a bit late, probably could have done it a bit earlier, so there's a few blanks now. But I'm focusing on the greenhouses, as always, as someone might expect at this time of year. Keeping the baskets, so this is just cherry tom, denuded of red cherries from me yesterday, taking them home to the kitchen. Unfortunately, I've been so busy, I kind of missed finished training the toms, and they need a bit of a haircut to make the toms come on and ripen. But alas, time is short. Next year's chilies, or at least some of them, and they've started to come up. They stay in the bags, self-watering, but more importantly, the pest that's invaded the other greenhouse, the green fly, as I found out, doesn't knacker them, doesn't tire them out, doesn't kill them. And they'll stay in there till I remember to bring them home sometime next month in September. Celery over there, spring onions done and gone. Picked the remaining ones yesterday, which can be used for pickling. Here's that Italian snake type courgette. They are quite nice and they keep really well actually. And that's an Asian pumpkin cabotia. Early variety of apple over there, and we're in the sun, but there's some beans over there. I'm not going to film extensively here in the greenhouse, but battling green fly, such that I had to spray. My brain strain chili, I just picked some off, so there's actually none to film, but I'm going to have a try at them this week. If we look here, I get this blooming every year. A cucumber forms behind the trellis, and it'll stay there because I'll be too lazy to move it until probably sometime next spring. So I have been concentrating on, and I keep on delaying saying, is the giant cabbages, which I'm really quite pleased with, and they're continuing to grow. I just removed the netting for purposes of showing you them, and they're just beginning to head up now, and that's required lots of non-organic slug pellets. That's what you noticed on the last video. I accidentally spilt half a bottle on them, which is why I'm very plastered with them, and feeding whenever I can, which usually works about every other day, with liquid grass food, i.e. a high nitrogen source. We'll see how big they get, but they're way over 1 metre in diameter. And my wife's been moaning at me to bring these back, and I was meant to do it this morning, but I forgot a box so they don't get crushed. And in there we have the onions and shallots drying off, and now these two pumpkin plants are romping away. And I cleared this bed of Thai cabbage yesterday, or Asian cabbage, in order that these at the start of August will eventually go over onto this bed. Unfortunately, with the bed system, I've not been able to cover up all vines to aid growth, but they're still doing okay. And I think if we go down here I'm hoping this one in here's set, but that over there, if you can see it for scale, is about 1.5 foot by about a foot deep, and that's grown in about 2.5 weeks. Just look up there, I cover it with fleece and then netting, just to keep the sun off sealing it, and it really is growing. And again, I feed that pretty much with a high potassium supplement at the moment, and again they were buried initially into a good bed of improved soil, but they are romping away. They're about 24 foot long now, the plants, and I have another one, well, I have another 2 plants, but these are the best 2. I think I'll go around the back. So beginning to harvest, continuing to harvest. How much extra effort to get the salads and further Thai veg, further Asian veg, I'm not sure. depends on the time, but we'll probably do some. I'm thinking about what I'll do for the greenhouses. You can see this, yes, it goes through the sweet corn, but it goes beyond the sweet corn, and it's continuing to go beyond the sweet corn, and it goes up, because it's the only place it can go, into the apple tree, and now it's going down, and I reckon we'll end up over there with a hedge pumpkin somewhere. Well, that's all for now. We're back to where we started. Happy gardening and happy harvesting.